Hello, welcome to Sideways. Just thought I'd leave you to listen to that. Oh, it's going again. I think that must be I think that's a song thrush. I'm not certain, but it's a bit windy, so I hope you can hear me. Anyway, this week we're talking about how much of what we learn we forget really quickly and how to retain more of it, with tips like, like a mnemonic. Every good boy deserves favour to remember the notes on a treble clef, although we don't talk about mnemonics, funny enough. I've been thinking since we recorded the episode that I seem to have managed to hold on to a lot of useless information. For example, if you asked me when I was a child growing up what any of the shops in the town used to be, I'd probably be able to tell you. And one would have to conclude that isn't terribly helpful information. Sorry, I've just got to throw a ball under a tree for the dog. Come on, bring it back, bring it. Anyway, what else do we talk about? I think Martin's got another mountain story, which involves some friends thinking their companion is a corpse, but hallucinogenic drugs are involved. And what else? Oh, and an elephant pops into a shop for some snacks. Just the usual sort of mundane stuff. I think that's about it. Anyway, I hope you enjoy it. I'm not sure I can remember the name of the episode, so I'm going to call it How to Remember Things. Come on, you two. Hello, this is Graham from the future. It's actually called How to Remember What You Learn, which makes more sense.
Can you see me all right? Can you hear me all right?
You've got the Aurora Borealis behind you.
I have. I normally just have a blurred background, but I found this and I thought, well, I'm going to put that on. I think we've mentioned it in a podcast before, haven't we? For something?
Yeah, I think we have, yeah.
I can't remember the context.
Yeah, we talked about it because the Aurora Borealis appeared over English skies, didn't it?
It did. You were absolutely right, yeah.
I think we said neither of us could be bothered to get up early enough to see it. We don't need to do it because you can just look at your background.
It's done, isn't it?
Yeah.
Job's a good one.
Everybody said, I think we spoke about this at the time, everybody has said to me that it always looks better when you take a picture of it than it does with the naked eye. So I think that was what we said, wasn't it? We might as well just look at pictures of it then.
Yeah, I think we did come to that conclusion, and quite rightly so.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So anyway, we're at the start now of season 10. We've got into double figures season-wise.
Who'd have thought about? Who'd have believed it?
Yeah, way pre-COVID when we started messing about.
Yeah, pre-COVID. Yeah. It's 5 years ago now.
Yeah, we actually started 6 years ago, didn't we? But yeah.
Did we?
Yeah, just about. But anyway, what I was going to talk about this week.
Yeah.
Shall I get on with it?
If you want, yeah, might as well.
Yeah, you look a bit nonplussed, but whatever.
Well, it's late, isn't it? It's late at night.
It's nearly 6:30. Yeah,
exactly.
For you, that is very late. So
after sort of 2:00, you've the best of me is gone.
Is it right? You've peaked. You've peaked.
Yeah.
Well, before you get too far down the away from your best.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk to you about. My notes are headed "Why We Quickly Forget So Much of What We Learn." Bit of a mouthful, right. That, isn't it?
If you think I'm going to put that as the title, you've got another thing coming.
I didn't think for one moment you would. You normally reduce it down to one or two meaningless words.
Probably, yeah. I probably will do that. I might call it kebab.
Yeah, well, we could. Well,
we've done kebab, haven't we?
We've done kebab. Yeah. You'd have to be a little bit more inventive, I fear.
Okay. Anyway, yeah.
But it's an important one because it does come up. I mean, people with alcohol issues, one of the first things they moan about is when they come into recovery. My memory's been so bad, and I've perhaps got a touch of the old Wernicke-Korsakoff, which we touched on before, a bit of a wet brain.
Yeah.
And so it's important. Part of this podcast, I'm looking at ways of mitigating this fact so that we do lose quite so much of what we learn.
So have you got this? So tell me if this is right. If when you're in recovery. you're potentially battling two issues. There's a physiological one. You might have actually done something to your brain
Yeah.
through your terrible abuse of vodka all of those years.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But you also can't remember stuff because you weren't conscious for a lot of it, like your lost decade.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's very fuzzy.
So
Very fuzzy.
you've got kind of, you're fighting on two fronts, aren't
You
you?
are, which is why it's quite important that new stuff you learn, you do your best to retain it, which is
Yeah.
where we're at on this one.
Yeah.
But before we start,
Yeah.
there's a couple of stories I quite liked. I quite liked the first story about, you may have seen this, because I know when I spoke to my daughter about this at the weekend, she said she'd heard about it, but it's the wild elephant.
No.
Who strode into a grocery store, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
It was from a local national park in Thailand. Okay.
Yeah.
So he wanted and helped himself to a few snacks. Yeah.
Why
Apparently,
not?
yeah, yeah, exactly that. He ate about 9 bags of sweet rice crackers, apparently.
Yeah.
A sandwich and some dried bananas. So he
Lovely.
bit of a balanced diet there, wasn't it? And
Yeah, I'm quite fond of a sweet rice cracker myself.
yeah. So he wandered in, had that, and went out without really making. The door must have been quite wide and big for him to get in, but he didn't make a mess. He just picked up a few bits and pieces. Didn't pay, obviously.
He
Didn't go
didn't
through
pay. Well, he went
No.
without paying. That's not good, is it?
No, I think he didn't. Not even the self-scan. He didn't try and get it through there, and
Maybe he'd forgotten to take any cash with him.
perhaps that's what it was.
It's easily done, isn't it?
He was. I think he was sort of tapping around in his pockets, thinking, "I'm sure my wallet was there." And there it was. But apparently, he'd had a bit of previous for this because he'd entered people's houses in the past when he was a tad peckish.
Right.
I mean, can you imagine that? I mean, you get upset if a fly comes in, don't you?
Well, I was just thinking about that actually. I'd much prefer an elephant popping in.
Than a fly.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
as long as they could get through the door, I don't really want them smashing down my walls.
No, not
But
really.
I'd be happy. I mean, I love an elephant personally, and I'd be happy to have them wandering around in the fridge.
Yeah. Well,
There's not much in there at the moment,
but you can. If it was a little baby elephant that could get in the front door, it'd be sweet, wouldn't it?
perfect.
Be lovely, yeah. You wouldn't swat it like you do flies, would you?
No,
Oh.
there's flies. With flies, it's just the noise. I can't tolerate it.
No, why should you?
Yeah,
Why should you?
that's nice. Yeah, I remember. So a friend of my sister's, her dog wandered into a shop once in town. I think thinking it was the pet shops, the pet food shops. They welcome dogs in there.
Yeah.
And I think this person's dog thought he was going in the dog shop, but he actually was going in the newsagent next door, so rooting around for something to eat. So I don't know, he probably got himself a Mars bar and a naughty mag or something.
They always get away with it, don't they?
Yeah, well they do, especially golden retrievers because they're lovely looking dogs, aren't they?
They are, and you never see a dog get sent to jail, do you? You know,
I can't recall seeing one. No.
No, it doesn't happen, so they can get away with it.
Yeah.
So what do you reckon this elephant's name was? Have a guess.
Elmer.
No.
What's it begin with?
P.
Peter.
No. I'll tell you. It's Play Biang Lek.
Oh, that was going to be my next guess.
I can't believe you didn't get it, but there we go.
I don't want to play Biang Yek.
You let yourself down a little bit there, but so I'm going to move on to the next little story I liked was a couple of hikers. Remember we talked about one going to get his phone back recently, didn't we? So it's just,
You got airlifted off a mountain, then went back for his phone.
he did.
Got
Well,
airlifted again.
Well, no, this is a different. There's two different hikers went up. It's another mountain story. That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
So the two hikers went up a mountain in America, and they called the emergency services to advise them that a third member of their party had died. But it turned out they were tripping on hallucinogenic mushrooms, and they were very much mistaken.
So their third member of the party wasn't dead, or they didn't even have a third member.
Yeah,
of the
no,
party?
they had a third, but apparently he'd wandered off down the mountain ahead of them.
Yeah.
They swore they'd seen his corpse near a tree.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've all done that on mushrooms, haven't we?
Back in the day, we've dropped a few shrooms. Yeah, I was always up a mountain. I don't know about you. Yeah, I think don't take drugs, kids.
Yeah, don't take. I mean, I think that's the long and the short of it, isn't it?
It is, isn't it? Yeah. We're not glamorizing it, but just it's a salutary lesson. Really,
Yeah.
it ends in misery.
Yeah, you listener can prosper where we didn't.
Well, exactly. We're
You know,
past
from
that.
our foolishness.
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, these people on mountain, apparently they were very lost as well. So
Oh,
they
big
did
big surprise.
well, quite, yeah. So they needed to be rescued. But anyway, another little mountain story, which I
Yeah,
quite
it's
like.
nice. Yeah,
So anyway, well, I'm gonna get onto the subject matter,
yeah.
is why we quickly forget so much of what you learn, and some of the stats are quite stunning, really.
You've got some stats, have you?
Yeah, of
Wow,
course. Yeah, I mean,
great.
you probably gone through this. You know, you finish listening to a fascinating podcast
I like this one.
like this one. I was waiting for
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah,
Or you read like an insightful article,
yeah.
or you attend, a really good training session, and you're intrigued, and you sort of nod along in agreement, and it clicks, and you're energized, and you're even thinking, "Oh, this is brilliant. I'm going to remember this forever." And then just a few days later, you can't remember most of it. Um, it isn't because you weren't paying attention. I mean, or deem yourself forgetful. It's because apparently your brain is doing exactly what it's designed to do. And I'm going to just talk to you about that. Because there's two curves that shape the way we learn. I think we're all familiar with the term, and we use it. I use it all the time.
Going up the learning
This
curve.
is this is a bit of a steep learning curve, yeah, and which is the rate we learn and improve our skills or understanding over time. So if you're going up the curve and it takes a while, you're familiar with that. I think the one that we forget most of, really, or not even heard of in the first place. I mean, you may have heard of the forgetting curve. You may have heard of it and forgotten about it, but most people have never heard of it in the first place.
Yeah, yeah.
But apparently it's just as critical. And it was first identified back in the 1880s by a psychologist called Hermann Ebbinghaus. He conducted these series of self-experiments and they've been replicated many times since. So we have got data and stats on this. And apparently his research and subsequent research has shown that we forget about 50% of what we learn within an hour. An hour, okay?
Yeah,
And then 75% within a day,
yeah.
and up to 90% within a week.
So what is the 10% we hold on to then?
I don't really know. It depends what you learn. I can't tell you what it is. It depends if you have.
See, because I always sometimes on occasions when people come into therapy, they'll be worried about remembering what we've spoken about or a particular insight they've had, and sometimes they'll take notes. I mean, it's fine if people want to take notes, but I've always said to people, listen, you'll remember what's useful to you. You'll remember what you need to remember. And I mean, I don't know. I've got no empirical evidence to prove that that's the case, but I've always felt that tends to be what happens. If there's something that's important to you in a session of therapy or some training or a book you've read or whatever it is, it might only be 10% of it, but the 10% that you remember will be the 10% that, for whatever reason, you need to remember or wanted to remember, right?
Yeah. Yeah, no, exactly right. It depends upon the level of engagement. I mean, if someone's sitting opposite you, I'd imagine if they're looking around, looking out the window, they're not going to take in a great deal of it, are they?
Well, no, I mean that's that, but that, and then I suppose that is in a sense, it's a reflection of what's useful to them.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you're, I mean, I don't think I remember 10% of chemistry at school because I wasn't engaged in it. I don't remember any of it. I could scarcely tell you anything on the periodic table.
No, and if you'd gone into a job where you needed that and used it all the time, what you're doing there is reinforcing it, and that's what it's all about. Without reinforcement, even the most sort of compelling ideas can quickly fade from your memory. So the challenge of forgetting, it even mentions it in the Bible. So I'm going to give you a little bit of background.
Yeah, because I know you're a big fan of the Bible.
I am. Looking at Deuteronomy in the Old Testament.
Yeah.
Chapter 4, verse 9. If you fancy looking it up.
Yeah. Right.
It warns us not to forget the lessons we've learned. So there it is, summed up, isn't it? Don't forget.
I'm not sure the warning is enough in and of itself, is it?
Not really, but it's something. It shows that this has been around for many moons, hasn't it?
So I don't know again whether you found this in your research, but one of the other things that I have found to be true is it's easier to remember something if you can attach it to some sort of motor skill. If you can attach it to some sort of bodily movement, it's quite useful.
I haven't got bodily movement in there, but I'm going to come on to, and we can probably slide that in because we may well allude to it in a second. Because I was looking at why we forget and how to fight it. That was the next part of my notes, really.
Okay.
Okay. Now, if we consider the way we're behaving here and now, not just doing this podcast, but in the age we get information overload, don't we? We're constant.
Yeah.
I don't know if you find it, but you can be looking at multiple screens sometimes at the same time.
I try very hard not to.
Yeah, but sometimes I'm
But
watching the
sometimes, yeah, I do.
a lot of people I know, and I've done it myself. You're watching the telly, but you're also on your phone checking bits and
Yeah,
pieces.
I'm usually on my phone when I'm talking to you, to be honest.
Well, I'm surprised you're not now.
Well, I am. I'm just looking at it out the corner of my eye.
Yeah, looking at the footy results and stuff. So we consume content constantly, don't we? Often moving from one topic to another. Again, when you're doom scrolling, which we've touched on before,
Yeah.
and you're not giving yourself, when you are skipping from one topic to another, you're not giving yourself time to absorb or to reflect on or apply what you've just learned.
Yeah.
It's not an efficient, basically, it's not an efficient method of learning, and the human brain is not optimized for taking or for passive intake. It needs meaningful engagement, what we touched on earlier on, and to retain information.
This does not augur well for future generations, does it?
No, it doesn't, and I think this is why it's becoming more of a hot topic now than it has been for many moons. But there was a Brazilian academic, and I'll try and pronounce it, Paulo Freire.
That sounded reasonable. I mean,
Yeah, Paulo, you can't get too far wrong, can you?
no, he sounds Brazilian, doesn't he?
It is, doesn't it? But he explained this as the banking theory. Yeah. So if like you remember at college or whatever, or at school, even your professor or the teacher stands in front of the room and deposits information into your mind, you need to have an organised filing system that you can retrieve the correct information when needed. You know, in your mind. And without it, the information can become lost.
All right. Well, how does he suggest we create a banking system then?
Well, I'm going to touch on that.
Are you?
Just going to turn over my page. Yes.
Well, you haven't remembered this, have you? You're reading it.
No, well, I did read through it before we came on air.
Otherwise, you'd only have known 10% of it. And that wouldn't be much good, would it?
Well, it wouldn't. But when I think back about some of the previous podcasts we've done, and I think, oh yeah, we've done something on that. It comes up in groups sometimes, and I think I can lean on something we learn. And again, you can't remember all of it, and it's you can remember bits and pieces of it. So I have to go back and reread it.
Yeah. I mean, I've forgotten the name of that elephant already.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I'll have to look it up again. Shall I give you a reminder? He was called Play Biang Lek.
Play Biang Yek. Lek. Play. That's quite difficult to say as well.
It is, it is. Yeah. Not a name which we come across very often. So Dumbo would have been an easier one to remember, wouldn't it?
Or whatever I said his name was.
Yeah, you can't remember
Peter
it.
Or whatever it was.
Anyway, these the strategies you can use. You're looking at trying to flatten the forgetting curve and strengthen your retention. All right?
I like to flatten the forgetting curve.
Who doesn't?
Yeah,
we've all tried it, and perhaps we need to just apply a little bit more effort. The first one, it's quite straightforward, is to write it down in your own words. You know, I've been to seminars and things, and you get handouts, and you're sort of passive note taking or just underlining bits and pieces, and apparently that doesn't really sink in. You've got to summarize.
I've got a question here. I'm pretty sure you're not going to be able to answer it.
Well,
I'm querying this because I've always thought that your method of retaining information, if you're in a seminar or a meeting or something or training, is very much an individual thing. You know, the way that one person retains information will be different from the way someone else does. Are you telling me that that's wrong?
No, I'm telling you that the passive note taking, just underlining a few things in a.
Okay. So you're saying that really you're not really putting enough work in there.
You're not.
You've got to do something a little bit more proactive.
But basically what you need to do is to summarise what you've just learned. So you sort of write it down and do it as soon as possible. Ideally in the hour. That's the witching hour straight afterwards.
Yeah, because you know when you go to a training or something or a meeting, and people, I hate this word anyway. Or I hate this word almost as much as I hate the word journey.
Okay.
When people say, "I'll send you the deck after the," I really hate that. That's like the worst of corporate speak for me. But I think I can say without fear of contradiction, on a personal level, whenever someone sent me a copy of the presentation, I have never
No,
looked at it.
no, you don't. And even reading back, the handouts, you rarely do it.
No, no.
But if you,
What I remember, actually, I probably don't even consult my notes. I think what I remember is what is in my head
yeah,
after the, you know.
yeah, it is.
But
But I found handwritten notes. They do tend to stick a bit more, and I also tend to, if it's in a notepad, to go back and look at it if I need to.
yeah, you see, I think what happens with me is I write notes. I do take copious notes with stuff.
Yeah,
I don't go back and read them very often, but I think probably the writing of it is what helps me retain the 10% or whatever I'm going to hold on to.
yeah,
It's like
exactly.
it's not like I need the note, it's that I need to write the note, you know.
Yeah, and write it in your own words. That's basically what this first tip is, because it sort of forces your brain to process and reframe the material.
Yeah.
Increases the chances it's going to stick because you're putting
Yeah.
it into a language you understand.
Yeah. Makes sense.
It does make sense, doesn't it? And the second point was to reflect before you move on. Okay, so this doesn't apply to seminar work really because your time is dictated by third party, isn't it? But if you're reading articles before you jump onto the next article, you need to pause and ask yourself, how much does this connect with what we already know, which is what you're saying.
Well, yeah, we've also spoken before, haven't we, about, because I'm thinking about this in a therapeutic context.
Yeah.
We've also spoken about how silence in therapy is golden. And actually, that's one of the reasons why it is, because when nobody's saying anything, there's an opportunity to reflect on what has been said, or
Yeah.
what you're feeling and what you're thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can ask yourself, actually, what surprised you if you're reading an article and jot that down.
You might say, an elephant appearing in my shop.
Well, you
Mightn't
can
you?
remember, if anything from this podcast, people probably remember that bit.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, you always remember the things you're not supposed to remember.
You do,
don't you?
yeah.
Yeah.
You do. But also, you've got to look at, once you've read an article or something, you consider them when you might use it. And again, that sort of contextualizes it. Or how might I use it? And these moments of reflection can help you create a strong web of associations, which improves recall. So you're saying there's a way of having an association with something other than just memory, with body movements. How does that sit?
Well, so I'll give you an example. So you can do if you do a kind of visualization exercise with someone, perhaps to try and reduce their anxiety or to increase their confidence,
Yeah,
then you can ask them to, you might ask them to think about a time where they felt really confident, they felt kind of powerful, they felt as if they were very in control, particularly if they're going through a phase of their life where they're not feeling like that. So that kind of recall of a time where they felt in possession of those qualities that they feel have eluded them currently can in itself be quite powerful. But if you anchor it with a physical manifestation, like as you're thinking about it, press your thumb and forefinger together or clench a fist or whatever it might be, then that linking it to a physical movement seems to not only strengthen it, but also make it much easier for people to remember it. Because then you'd say to someone, when you feel like you need to recall it, just press your thumb and forefinger together or clench your fist, and immediately you'll start to think about that same visualization that you had when you first anchored it.
Okay, so you can only anchor one idea to a clenched fist, I suppose, can't you? Otherwise, you get confused as to what it's supposed to be representing.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're probably not going to want to think about too many different. I mean, you wouldn't use this technique for remembering all the notes in a seminar. Actually, right? So I need to remember that. Now that's going to be thumb and forefinger left hand, and no.
Yeah.
But if there's something specific that's going to help you in a particular situation, then that can be, and particularly if it's something you're going to use repeatedly, then that can be a good way of doing it.
Yeah.
Make sense?
It does make sense. I was just thinking that you don't want to clench both fists and start wading into the seminar presenter, do you?
No. I always say to people, I give those as an example. I mean, people can do whatever they like, I mean, I don't know. I suppose whatever, yeah.
Yeah.
You usually, the reason I would say a clenched fist or thumb and forefinger together is because most of us don't go around anywhere without our hands do we?
No, true. Not really. You don't leave them at home, do you?
It's rare, isn't it?
It is very rare.
Yeah. I just want to go back very briefly to that point you made about. I think you made a point about think about how you're going to use whatever you've learned,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So I'll give you an example of this because today I asked you for some decorating advice.
You did, yeah.
So I found that I will find that very easy to remember because I know exactly how I'm going to use that advice. So when I'm, doing whatever it is that I'm doing, it will be easy for me to recall that. So that's an example of that, right? Whereas if you're being told something quite abstract and you don't really know how it's going to be used, but you kind of you're trying to keep it in your mind just in case you need it, then those sorts of thoughts will probably be much more difficult to hold on to, right?
Exactly, because that leads nicely on to the third point, which was to apply it immediately. Now, I don't know how quickly you're considering doing your decorating, for example, but the best way to retain new knowledge is to use it or teach it to someone. You could pass that knowledge on to your kids, for example. If they asked you today, you say, "Oh, this is how you do it," or you test it out. You could test it out. I mean, you could test out other ideas at work, but you could test this out, on a small bit of a small wall or whatever. You can.
Yeah.
Or even incorporate it into a project that you're doing. Say, right, like, this is what I'm going to do now. So once you do that, that knowledge tends to stick. I mean, that knowledge that I passed on to you was something that I've done many, many times. If I'd have only done it once many years ago, I thought, I'm not quite sure how did that pan out. But so that when you incorporate it into something, if you use it all the time, it sort of it moves learning from short-term awareness to long-term understanding, basically.
Yeah, sometimes you can use it immediately and then store it for later. So, for example, if I think of a chord progression that I like, I might not have any way of using it right now, but if I record it on my phone, then I've got it and I can keep hold of it until such time as I'm in a position to use it. Of course, that does mean that I've got sort of 7,000 song ideas on my phone that I've never used, but that's probably another story.
Well, no, you're leading on to the fourth point, which is leveraging technology for reinforcement.
Right. Okay.
So, so although we blamed it earlier on for distraction, it can help to learn. It can help to reinforce learning, as you've just said. I mean, AI, for example, I know it gets a lot of bad press, but it can sort of summarise what you've just learned, and it can quiz you and remind you to review it later, just before you're likely to forget. So, such tools that personalise repetition and encourage active engagement, they're essential. So you can use technology. We're not just dissing it and saying that.
No. I mean, AI is very useful, particularly for summarising a lengthy document.
Yeah.
If you ask it to summarise a research paper or something and say, "Can you give me a bullet point, summary of what's in here?" Obviously, it's going to be easier for you to retain that information than it is for you to read through the whole thing and perhaps potentially spend time focusing on things that are less useful for you.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I've used a little bit of that when I've put my notes together. A little bit of AI here and there.
You're not AI. I'm not talking to AI, am I?
No. Well, with my Aurora Borealis background, you could well be. I look a bit like Max Headroom, don't I?
Yeah, I expect you could. I mean, we can't be far away from the point at which you could be AI, and I wouldn't really know.
You wouldn't know.
Yeah.
I could do a deep fake video, couldn't I?
Oh God, what a thought!
And just have me on here.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to see a deep fake video with you in it. I don't think
it's not a great image, is it?
No, not really.
So that's it, really. But just sort of summing up these 4 points, that learning isn't just about consumption. So if you in a seminar, it's not just about consuming.
So it's not passive, as you say.
No, it's about repetition and reflection and action. So if you do get some knowledge, try and use it straight away.
Yeah.
And if you want to remember more of what you learn, you need to be intentional about it. You've got to be intentional about reinforcing it and how to use it. So you've got to contextualize it and use it as soon as you can. So really, basically, the next time you finish reading or listening to one of our podcasts or watching something intriguing, take a moment to summarize it. Yeah.
Okay, I'll do that. Even if I'm sort of reading in bed and just about to go to sleep, I'll make myself get up and
make some notes.
It.
Well, don't you have a notepad by your bed anyway?
I do, yeah.
Yeah. So you can just lean across, because I get ideas sometimes, for the podcast ideas, and I'm just as I'm going to sleep, I've got to write that down, because I know You forget it. It's a bit like forgetting a dream, isn't it?
You always forget your dreams, yeah.
A dream, the moment you wake up, you think, oh, God, that's so vivid. I'm never going to forget that. And again, a few moments later, it's gone. And it really has disappeared from your mind, and you can't recall it.
Yeah, you can't even recall 10% of it, can you?
You can't even, yeah, no, less, 0% virtually, yeah. If what would have happened if Paul McCartney, he dreamt about,
What did he dream about?
he dreamt yesterday, didn't he? He dreamt the
Did
tune
he?
yesterday, yeah.
Well, he dreamt the chord progression.
Yeah, he did, and he
Bloody
woke
hell.
up. He woke up and got his guitar a bit sharpish and jotted it down and played it and jotted it down. Yeah,
Wow.
it's a decent dream
That's
to have,
never
isn't
happened
it?
to me.
No, not as something as successful as that.
No. Wow, I wonder if he manifested that. I should go to sleep tonight thinking about yesterday, and maybe I'll wake up with my own version.
With your very own hit record.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
It's never too late, is it?
Never too late, mate. No, especially you can use AI then to produce it for you.
Yeah, I won't be doing that.
You
Yeah.
won't be doing that. Which was we did talk about that. It was one of the conundrums, wasn't it, about whether we think AI should produce art, of which
Oh yeah, crikey, that was a long time ago.
music is obviously a very much part of art.
Yeah, I think you were in favour, weren't you?
I think it has its place. Yeah, yeah, I do.
No, fair enough. Well, let's not get into that.
No, we're not. We'll alienate our listeners, won't we?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Well, some of them.
Yeah, yeah.
Quite polarising, isn't it, AI?
It is. Yes. So we'll move swiftly on.
Yeah, let's do that.
We'll stay on the fence on that one. So that's really where my notes have taken me.
Nice.
Yeah, I think it's fairly succinct, and
I've learned a lot. I probably won't remember any of it.
you won't remember it, but by keeping it reasonably short and concise, I felt that perhaps we would remember some of it.
Yeah, I can see what you've done there.
Yeah, I thought it was quite a good move. We'll see. Time will tell. Time
Yeah,
will
well,
tell.
yeah.
And we're moving on to the conundrum feature next, if that's all right with you.
Okay. Have I got one that fits with this theme? Let me think. I haven't really, but okay. How about this one? Because we've talked a little bit about work, haven't we, today?
We have, yeah.
A work colleague keeps taking credit for your work. Do you call them out on it privately, publicly, or find a way of undermining them? This must have happened to you, surely.
Yes, it has. I think it's, and I've seen people have where they've done it's happened to them. So yeah, they tend to go straight to their line manager or something, or go above their head and call.
All right. Okay. So you're not calling them out personally. You're not calling them out privately, but you're telling someone else about it, which I suppose isn't really undermining them, is it? It's passing the problem on.
It is really
to someone else.
That's probably what I'd do. I think. Would I be brave enough to? It depends who it is, whether you felt that if you were going to challenge someone, how that would land. Or you just bring in someone to could you get another viewpoint on it, really? If you could go to your line manager or whatever and say this is what's happening.
I suppose it depends on how impacted you are by it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
We used to work with a guy in the corporate world who it became quite funny actually, because he'd do presentations and you'd see your own material in his deck. With his name underneath it, you'd think, it would come from a conversation that you'd had with him. Yeah. And then he'd kind of steal it as his own idea. And it became sort of almost quite, laughable.
Almost comical, yeah.
But I don't know, I think you can go through a period where you think that that's incredibly irritating or disrespectful or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think you end up not sharing with that person, don't you? Or
I think that's what happens.
Keeping them out of the loop, so that you mitigate.
Yeah.
And try and stop that problem. You cut it off at the pass.
So again, that wouldn't be calling them out on it privately or publicly, but I suppose that would be a kind of way of undermining them. Well, it's not undermining, is it? It's like, I'm going to put a stop to this without actually confronting you.
Yeah.
It's funny though, isn't it, really? Because you think in a situation like that, it's quite difficult to deny that you've plagiarised someone else's work. You say, hey, that presentation you did, that was my idea that you put up there and you've taken credit for it. What the hell's going on there? It's very difficult for someone in that situation to say, no, I didn't, isn't it?
Yeah.
I wonder why it is. I suppose it's that sort of, natural fear that people have of conflict, isn't it?
I suppose so. And it is supposed to be quite flattering if someone uses
What,
your work.
imitation is a sincerest form of flattery, you mean?
That's it. Yeah, it is. But I've never found that phrase as any sort of comfort when that's happened.
No, it feels a bit like a cop-out to me.
It does. Yeah.
Although, as I'm thinking about it, if I'm honest, I can't think of any time where I've called someone out on using any of my ideas. Maybe it's never. Maybe I've never noticed it happening. I don't think I've done it. I can't. I don't think I've done. I don't think I've stolen someone else's work and pretended it was my own. That would feel. I don't know. That would just feel very dissatisfying to me, I think.
Yeah. No, it would. I suppose if it affects your Christmas bonus or something, at work, you think, oh, that's a bit rich.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah.
You might get a bit arsey about
stealing
it.
some sales, as it were, that someone else got, and you'd have. I may have done that back in the day when I was young and wild.
Yeah, when you're running around in a maverick style.
Yeah, but I think all's fair in love and the sales force, isn't it? That's what they say, isn't that the phrase?
It's not a phrase, but I think it's very relevant and prevalent.
Yeah, that shows hunger, doesn't it?
Yes. Yeah, and it shows us a bit of ingenuity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Selfishness. Yeah.
It's all wrapped up in all of those words, but it's a good conundrum because I don't think that we've come to any strong conclusion on it.
No, we don't know, do we? Basically,
we don't really. No, we don't, and I think that's we leave it there. We don't.
Yeah,
know.
and I think that's as it should be because we don't pretend to have the answers, do we?
No, we don't. No, we
We're as
don't.
clueless as everybody else.
Yes, we are. We stand in the trenches with you, but we're not going to push you up over, are we?
Exactly, which makes it even more surprising that we've managed to go through nearly, 10 seasons of this drivel.
Rubbish. Yeah, I know. We enjoy that, don't we? So that's all right.
Right, what's next?
What's the gratitude lists?
Who's go first?
Well, I've got one written down in front of me.
Okay, you go then, yeah.
I was grateful for having 6 straight days off of work. I know that incorporated the weekend.
That's virtually skything.
Yeah, well, it was. I took the Thursday, Friday off annual leave, and the Monday, Tuesday. It made a nice stretch. So I was pleased with that, and it did make me feel a little bit refreshed when I went back. But that was that was the weekend before last.
What did you do with your time?
Well, that was when I went to the festival at Moat Park.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
So I threw a little festival in there, and it sandwiched it nicely with those extra days off work. And I hadn't mentioned it in my last week's gratitude list. I thought, you know what, I meant to talk about that, and I didn't. So I'm going to put it in this week. So even though I'm a little bit behind the curve on this,
the forgetting curve.
Well, yeah, I did.
Or the learning curve.
None of those. Yeah, just the time.
Yeah, I remembered that.
You did.
I remembered the forgetting curve. I remember the forgetting curve, which is the thing you'd think you would forget. I've remembered.
You've remembered, and so it's done its job, isn't it? Largely.
Yeah.
Good work.
Okay.
So your gratitude then?
I'm going to have my osteopath on my gratitude list this week. Yeah, I've had a back problem in the last week or so, and it was very painful. And I went to see my osteopath, and I've got to be honest, I was thinking, I don't think this is going to help much, but it really made a big difference. And I think it's quite nice, isn't it, when you kind of seek support or help with something, and you feel a bit pessimistic about the impact it's going to have, and then it surprises you. So I think I should probably, kudos to my osteopath for that.
Excellent. You had a bad back then, did you? Or
I've still got a bad back, but it's not as bad as it was. I keep forgetting the term of the problem that I've got. Anyway, it's some sort of joint that's inflamed, and it's very painful.
Oh, okay.
And which is super bad for me because, as you know, I like to do a lot of walking.
Yeah.
And so in the middle of last week, it was quite difficult for me to walk any distance. So that was making me a bit fed up.
Did you go a little bit grumpy?
Yeah, I did get grumpy, yeah. Well, I mean, I think a bad back makes you grumpy anyway.
Yeah, of course it does.
Because it's really wearing, isn't it? It's like debilitating. So I had that sort of debilitating discomfort with not being able to exercise properly and, walk the dogs and what have you. So I was getting proper fed up.
Yeah, I can say, I've seen you in those moods, I'm sure, before.
Yeah, probably, yeah. But I'm, it's improving now, and so I'm feeling slightly more upbeat and chipper.
It did. Well, I think the last time I saw it was many years ago. We got all the way to Sevenoaks to play a gig, and you'd forgot your plectrums.
Well, we've talked about this not so long ago.
We did. Did we?
Yeah.
I'd forgotten about
And
that.
you said that you got grumpy because you had to drive me back home
I
again.
did. I got grumpy, but you were grumpy at the time, and especially as
I still can't believe that I got you to drive all the way back to Maidstone because I'd forgotten my plectrum. I mean, what am I doing forgetting my plectrums
I
anyway?
know. Well, I was trying to say use a 10 pence piece, and it was just making it worse with you, wasn't it? Or use a bit of cardboard. You'll be fine with that, mate.
Yeah. You see, these days it'd be all right because I don't really use plectrums anymore. I just use
Yeah,
my fingers.
yeah. Well,
So
you're playing less hard rocky tunes, aren't you?
yeah, it would have been perhaps it would have been an opportunity to, for a change of tone.
Well, if we had a time machine, we'd go back and sort that one out. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's in the
Yeah.
past now, isn't it?
Yeah. It's all gone, isn't it?
It's all gone. We've
Yeah.
gone over that.
Yeah.
So what we haven't got over is the best-selling albums.
Yeah, I'm unlikely to surpass last time's performance because as I recall, it was quite spectacular.
You did particularly well.
Yeah, but I'll give it everything.
Give it your best shot, mate.
Yeah.
That's all I can ask of you. Now,
Yeah.
in 1976,
Okay.
because we got 76, 86, and 96. So
All right.
1976,
Yeah.
the best album. Now, remember, this is during the sort of the rise of the punk era, is just coming up. And it's not a punk group, so it's quite surprising in the back that backdrop, that environment, that this
So
album.
it's not a punk album.
No, it's not. It's a greatest hits album. I'll give you that because it's.
So it's a greatest hits, but it's by one artist,
But it's by a group.
one group. Are they a glam rock group?
No, they're not. They're not. But
Are
they're fabulously successful.
ABBA?
Yeah, exactly. Spot on, mate. Yeah,
Oh,
I nudged you in the right direction there, but
Wow.
you self-nudged, didn't you?
I did. I self nudged. Yeah. I've got to try and think of the name of the album. Then have I?
Well, no, it's greatest hits. So
Oh, just ABBA greatest hits. Okay. fair
yeah,
enough.
so
Yeah.
that swamped the charts and outsold
Yeah.
most other albums by quite a significant amount.
Yeah. Well, they were good, weren't they, ABBA?
They were good. I mean,
Yeah. They could write a tune. I wonder if Bjorn and Benny woke up with the chords to Waterloo,
Yeah,
from a dream.
I haven't heard that.
No.
That's the case, but you
You never know, do you?
No, you never know. No, 1986.
86.
Yeah, no, the best album was by a single artist, a female,
Madonna.
Madonna. Yeah,
Oh my God, I'm on fire.
yeah. Well, if you
Is it a greatest hits?
no, it's not. But if you get the name of the album, I'll be very impressed.
Um,
I don't know if you know any Madonna albums, do you? Have you bought it? Do you actually own it?
yeah.
You do? Okay.
Yeah, I do. But it wouldn't have been True Blue, would it?
Yes, it was exactly true.
Whoa!
You're a light, dude.
That's magnificent.
Madonna, True Blue,
Wow.
best-selling album of 1986. This is in the UK, obviously.
I think I've got that album.
Have you? Okay.
I would go and have a look at my records, see if it's there, but as you will be aware, it's not in alphabetical order, so
Well,
it might take me a while to find
Well,
it.
this is exactly what it should be. Okay, you've just perfectly illustrated why that is the correct manner of
dear.
filing your albums. No, so 1996, again, a single female artist, but a real seminal album. This is one that, if I gave you the name, you'd know the name of the album just by the name of the artist.
96. See, I'm not very good with 90s music. So a very famous artist.
No, you wouldn't say she's very famous. Which is, yeah, she is very famous, but not as big as Madonna. So she's,
So you seem to be kind of suggesting that the album is bigger than the artist.
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
Yeah. People know the name of the album almost better than the artist.
Right. Okay. What sort of genre are we talking?
Difficult to say, really. Sort of folky,
Poppy.
sort of poppy.
Oh, folky.
Folky,
Did you
poppy.
say British?
I don't know. I don't know.
Oh,
Tell me on this. I'm not quite sure if she's British or American.
but popular.
Yeah,
Still going?
I think so. Yeah, I'm not a big fan. I don't really know much about this artist, I must admit. But again, I know the name.
Is it someone that I'm likely to like?
Yeah, I suspect so.
I don't think I'm not getting any vibe.
No,
here.
I'm going to because I'm not giving you any leads here, but not anything good. I'm going to give you the name of the artist, and you see if the
right.
the name of the album springs to mind. It's Alanis Morissette.
Oh, bitter little pill.
A jagged little
pill. That's
pill,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So Alanis Morissette, is she British or American or?
I think she's American or Canadian. I think she might be
Right.
Canadian actually.
Yeah, probably makes sense.
I'm not sure, but she's certainly not British.
No.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You're probably right. Yes. The album name, which I got wrong, is probably as well known as she is.
Yes.
Yeah. She's Canadian American.
Okay.
So there we are. All right.
Good. So I think you did particularly well there.
Yeah. I bailed out a little bit on Alanis Morissette, but
Yeah, but I wasn't really.
that was part of the 90% I'd forgotten.
It was, yes.
Yeah.
It was, but I think the football ones. Well,
I might struggle with these.
well, we're getting to this era where it's the same team keeps winning stuff, So
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna. Okay. So we're starting with 76, are we?
we're starting to 75-76 season. Yeah.
It'll be someone that probably isn't in the Premier League anymore.
No, they are. Yeah.
Oh, they are.
Yeah.
Well, I'll go for one of the big sides then.
Yeah.
I'll go Liverpool.
Yeah. It was Liverpool. Yeah.
Oh, okay. And then 85, 86.
Yeah.
Well, that's probably Liverpool.
It was Liverpool.
Yeah.
Then, yeah.
And then 95, 96 must be Man United.
It is. Yeah. I mean, you've reeled those straight off. I know it's more of a limited pool to delve into, but
Yeah.
you did particularly well there.
Yeah, I did. I'm quite pleased with myself.
As you should be, mate.
Yeah.
As you should be.
Yeah. I'll probably go and bask in that glory now. Going to have my dinner now.
Won't, you won't forget today's episode, will you?
No, I won't. I certainly won't forget the best-selling album in '86.
Yeah, no, that was a masterstroke, sir.
Yeah. Oh, you almost disappeared there in the Aurora Borealis.
Did I?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if this goes on YouTube, because I know you put snippets on sometimes, people can see the Aurora Borealis, can't they?
Yeah, for those people that have never seen it before.
No.
You should have told us you were in the Scandinavian area this week for the recording.
I am in Iceland. But it's I think people go to Iceland and never see it, don't they?
Yeah, although the people that I've known that have been to Iceland have seen it. Have you been to Iceland?
Oh, I haven't. No. My eldest daughter Emily, she went and she said she's sort of a greenish sort of sky, but nothing as spectacular as you see on the television when they record it.
Nothing as spectacular as we're looking at now.
No, nothing near that. No.
Yeah. All right. Well.
Alrighty. So it's Monday evening. I think we've done all right, haven't we?
Yeah, that's enough now, isn't it?
Yeah, I think
Must be nearly the weekend.
Actually, yeah, you can get a bit confused when we record on the wrong day, can't you?
Yeah, well, it's your fault, isn't it? Because
Sorry, mate.
You're never around on Sundays anymore.
Well, it can be tricky.
Yeah, have you taken a stall at a farmer's market or something?
Talking of which, the farmer's market is on this Sunday coming.
Is it?
So I haven't been for a while, so I'm going to probably try and get myself down there. I think I might well do that.
Because you're probably short of apples and pears, aren't you?
And
that's not Cockney rhyming slang, by the way.
No, it isn't. But no, I'm just relying on supermarket fruit, which, as we know, is not.
Yeah, that's not so good. Anyway, you might be able to get yourself some seaweed pate if you're lucky.
That definitely won't happen. But I'll have a little look around probably.
All right.
Anyways,
see you later.
See you later, mate. Take it
Laters.
easy. Bye.
Bye. Sideways was created by Graham Landy and Martin Pankhurst. If you want to read more about our work or sort through the extensive archive of past episodes, just visit grahamlandywellbeing.co.uk/sideways-podcast. You can follow us on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram at Sideways Podcast, and you can email us if you have a question or if there's something you'd like us to cover. But most of all, we want to tell you how grateful we are that you come and listen, and we ask that if you've enjoyed what you've heard, that you spread the word. And we'll see you next week.